Welcome to another episode of Military vs. Creatures. Today's episode number 2, is going to be the RAF Alconbury Werewolf. I hope you guys enjoy. In the heart of Cambridgeshire, only a couple of miles outside of Huntington, is the former RAF and USAF base of Alconbury. It was initially set up in 1938 as a satellite airfield to nearby RAF Wyton, about 5 miles away. When war broke out, it became a launch site for the Belheim bombers. In 1942, the Americans took over the base to dispatch Liberators, then later on B-17 bombers. After a brief period of non-operation, it was reopened in the 1950s with the advent of the Cold War. Which, if the veterans of the military people of that day was anything like we are, I guarantee you they were very much like this.
Bravo 6. Going dark.
As of 2017, the base is now non-operational and has been non-flying for a few years. Part of the area has already been built on, and commercial enterprises run from other parts. Considering its length of operation as a staging point for war, it is not without its ghosts and legends, or even legends. The legend in question has been making its rounds for many years, not just within the confines of the base itself, but also in the surrounding areas. A man heard it himself in the early 1980s when he was a Boy Scout. It was a campfire chiller. The story goes, it was not uncommon for engineers to work solo into the night working on some of the aircraft. Alconbury had many secret USAF operations for a period in the 1980s. The spy plane was known as the TR-1, was based there. One morning in the early 1970s, as the crew arrived at the hangar, they found an engineer huddled in the cockpit of a Phantom jet. Rumor has it he had died of fright as he had turned almost white, including his hair. Just to make matters worse, there were deep claw marks on the outside of, as if some beast had tried to get to the hiding man. There are some deviations from the tale, but only generally that the man survived but had gone insane. The rest pretty much always stood. There had been the occasional report of some sort of werewolf who would disappear into the woods on the north of the airfield, which is where the maintenance hangars were situated. Here are some reports from people who have seen the beast. A mechanic was carrying out some routine work on an F-5 aircraft parked on the runway, a job that should have only been completed in an hour. When he failed to make a telephone call requesting his lift back to the hangar, a search party went out for him. They found him sitting in an aircraft as white as a sheet, with the canopy closed. I'd say he was probably pretty much looking like this. Although he was asked many times what it was that he had seen, he declined, and saying that it had frightened him so much that he refused to go anywhere near that location again. It was discovered from another source that the man had seen a terrifying hairy humanoid which had walked past the aircraft. There is also reports about an incident involving two mechanics working on an aircraft parked on the north side of the base, one of whom was frightened by the appearance of a strange hairy creature that he jumped into the cockpit of the aircraft and refused to get out for some time. Sergeants Randy Lee and Jackson, one night while on patrol with their dogs, they saw some movement near the towers and called the main gate to check if any workmen were still in sight. As they approached the tower, they came face to face with a hairy figure. The dogs stopped in their tracks, absolutely terrified, frantically trying to get away. The truck arrived just in time to see the creature, whatever it was, climbing over the security fence where it was last seen entering the north woods. One report goes as such. One foggy night, my father received a radio call. There was an intruder within the perimeter. He tore out in his truck and sped towards the scene. Seeing a figure in the fog, he pulled over thinking it was one of his guards. He rolled down his window and was screamed at, full in the face, but what he can only be described as a man-like bipedal creature. My father nearly wet himself in fear. In an instant, the thing ran off at incredible speeds, and my father drove after it. Within moments, it had sped past another one of the guards. My father and these men witnessed these creatures make fantastic running bounds across the grounds before leaping over two tall, well-spaced wire fences in a single bound. It disappeared into the surrounding woods. Another report. In 1978, I was stationed with the U.S. Air Force in West Germany and was sent to RAF Alconbury in England for 30 days TDY, temporary duty. When I mentioned to a coworker that I was going to RAF Alconbury, he told me that he had been there in 1972 when one of the aircraft mechanics in question, or in a squadron, had been found late one night in the back seat of an RF 4C Phantom jet, supposedly after he had died of fright. The story was that a subsequent investigation revealed unexplained scratches on the glass of the canopy of the jet, and this started a rumor circulating that the fortunate crew chief had been the victim of what came to be known as the infamous hard stand monster. RAF Alconbury itself has many reports of an upright hairy hominid creature described as either a werewolf, a standing wolf, or a human ape. It is known to run off when spotted in the North Woods, known locally as Monk's Woods. Others have reported on the accounts, but thanks to Chris L. Huff, the other reports from serving American soldiers who returned to the U.S. and reported their encounters with the hairy hominid at the base, and also found reports made by British men who have served at the base who reported the same creature. Another report goes, I encountered a werewolf, lack or better description, in England in 1970. I was 20 years old when I was stationed at RAF. I was in a secure weapons storage area when I encountered it. It seemed shocked and surprised to be caught off guard, and I froze in total fright. I was armed with a 38 and never once considered using it. There was no aggression on its part. I could not comprehend what I was seeing. It is not human. It has a flat snout and large eyes. Its height was around 5 foot, and its weight was approximately 200 pounds. It is very muscular and thin. It wore no clothing and was only moderately hairy. It ran away on its hind legs and scurried over a chain link fence and ran deep into the dense wooded area adjacent to the base. I was extremely frightened, but the fear developed into a total commitment to trying to contact it again. If you're not tracking what I'm putting down, this fear caused an obsession with him that he wanted to know more about this thing. And much like a lot of us field investigators, when we're investigating these cryptids, we get to the point where we're kind of like this. Now, I'm not saying that's how he was, but a lot of us, especially us Marine grunts, we're very much like this. Of course, we're probably not all right in the head. Some people would try to say we're not, they call us crayon eaters, give us coloring books. But man, we're kind of chill with that kind of stuff, and stuff that usually scares a normal person, we're running towards that stuff. So I can't absolutely say that was probably what he was thinking, but if he was anything like us, that's pretty much what he was thinking. Now, there's a lot of soldiers and a lot of veterans, when they see something like this, if they encounter it again, they're probably going to be more apt to hide. I can't really blame them for being that way. Up until I got over my fears of this strange stuff that happens, I was the same way. I really was. And so many people are. And there's nothing wrong with being that way. It's better to be safe than sorry. Some people, you may call us not right in the head. Man, we go after that stuff. We love it. That's what we live for. But I digress, man. Let's get back on topic. He continued by saying, I was obsessed with it. I was able to see it again a few weeks later at a distance in the wooded area. I watched it for 30 seconds slowly moving through the woods. I will never forget the good fortune to encounter it. And I know this creature truly does live among us. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you know of any other soldiers versus creatures reports you'd like me to do a video on, please email me at cryptidandmythological@gmail.com. I'll put the link in the description. I love this type of stuff. I'm an old vet. I spent 13 years, 4 deployments in the United States military. I was United States Marine Corps infantry for 4.5 years before I got hurt. I went to the Army as a pogue and done 8.5 years as a pogue. 8.5 years as a pogue. So, I love this military stuff. I personally go investigating things that go thump in the night. I do videos on that stuff. I'm very fascinated and very passionate about this type of stuff. So let me know in the comments what you think of the video. Please like, subscribe, and share. Let's get this out there, and I hope to hear from you soon, and I can't wait till I do. As always, everybody, peace, love, and blessings to you all.
Boots hit the dirt under a blood-red sky. Shadows shift where the unknown lies. The radios crackle, but no one speaks. A growl in the dark makes their hearts weak. Steel in their hands, fear in their breath. One wrong move and they'll dance with death. In the shadows where nightmares play, a creature calls and it won't obey. It's man versus beast, claw versus steel. In this game of war, only death feels real. Fangs gleam sharp in the black of night, eyes like embers burning bright. The air grows thick with a copper sting. The beast lunges and chaos swings. Bullets scream, but it won't go down. Roars like thunder, shake the ground. Man and monster locked in fate. The line between them starts to break. In the shadows where nightmares play, a creature calls and it won't obey. It's man versus beast, claw versus steel.